So we're good.
Okay. So we're gonna call to order the Barrio Historic Zone Advisory Board meeting for Monday, June 9th at 4 p.m. Darren,
Here.
Paolo here, Hope,
Here.
Mitch,
Here.
Stephen. Stephen, if that's you, you're on mute.
Yeah, Stephen is here.
I'm here, thanks.
Okay, great. And then I know that Philip Naher will not be here, and neither will Grace. So first item up on the agenda is review and approval of the 5/12/25 meeting minutes. I reviewed those and they looked good to me, so I'm going to make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second,
Steven seconds it. So let's go around. Darren,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
and Mitch.
Yep.
Paolo, yes. So what is that for?
and I'll vote yes as well.
Okay. Oh, did I not call you, Steven? Oh, yeah, sorry. You made the motion. Okay, Michael, do we have any call to the audience?
Hi,
Yes,
everyone.
yes, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
Philip is here.
Yep.
Great, Philip. I
Hey.
didn't think you were making it.
Yes, Mr. Chair, there is a call to the audience. I did send this call to the audience to the whole board. There was a public comment that was sent to staff on May 13, 2025. And this public comment was sent by Craig Clark. I'm sure all of you have had the chance to look at that comment. At the pleasure of the board, I may read this into the record if that's the way we go. But the comment goes this: greetings. This is a question for the Barrio Historic Zone Advisory Board, but maybe more importantly, for the City of Tucson Historic Preservation Office. The bulk of the May 12 meeting of the Barrio Historic Zone Advisory Board was spent going through suggestions about changes in the zone's design guideline made by somebody that every meeting participant was on a first name basis with, referred to as both Damian. The source of these editorial suggestions was never formally introduced or called out, neither during the meeting nor in the agenda material. But it seems clear from the context that the source was Damon Klinko, CEO of the outside lobbying group, the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation. I wonder if Klinko was hired as a third-party consultant or advisor through some sort of RFP editing process for the design guidelines revision, or if this is just the normal process of an interest group lobbying a supposedly independent public advisory board. It was concerning that the board dedicated more than 90 minutes to suggested edits made by Klinko. But the new Tucson Historic Preservation Officer had to justify her position of reviewing the final version of the design guideline and felt the need to promise that she wouldn't suggest any dramatic changes. As a citizen, I would very much prefer the professional review of our trained, vetted, and duly hired historic preservation officer to a randomly suggested extensive rewrite of an outside lobbyist. As a member of the public who is subject to historic review in an HPZ, I do not hear that the Historic Advisory Board were making available their draft development guidelines for public editing, proposal, or comment. If this is the case, I would very much like to have my turn making my own edit of the draft historic review guidelines in the various HP zones before they are adopted. If so, what is the process for that? I also wonder if the boards are open to evaluating the edit of other outside groups, such as, for instance, the Tucson Association of Realtors or the Goldwater Institute. Finally, I wonder if you could evaluate whether Mr. Klinko's involvement in the decisions about historic preservation zone design guideline violate any Arizona or City of Tucson conflict of interest or code of ethics regulation. As CEO of the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation, I think Mr. Klinko derives an income or some form of financial remuneration from his position, and therefore may be barred by statute from taking part in a decision making process of the board, committee, and commission. I appreciate whatever clarification you might be able to provide. Thank you, Craig Clark. This is a public comment that was sent.
So, Michael, who was that addressed to?
This was from Craig Clark, and it was addressed to the Barrio boards.
Good.
Is he here today, Michael?
I am looking at the attendance.
I don't know.
I do not see his name showing up.
Can so I wrote Desiree a note after she sent this out. Can I just read that real quick?
Sure.
Hi, Desiree. Damien, as founder of the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation, is a proven advocate for preserving historic buildings in Tucson. So it would follow that our advisory board would welcome his perspective. We are charged with preserving this barrio as a historic resource as accurately as possible. I would challenge Mr. Clark to articulate the preservation efforts of the Tucson Association of Realtors and the Goldwater Institute in Tucson. If they want to weigh in on the guidelines, they probably have at least a position paper outlining their philosophy and strategy for preservation. Additionally, if I have accurately identified Mr. Clark as a realtor here in Tucson through a Google search. So additionally, the Association of Realtors must be thrilled at the skyrocketing property values in the barrio, something not all of us are happy about. Not to mention the value the city has received in national articles, exposure, et cetera, that this preserved barrio has generated. And then I wrap it up, but that's the basic message I sent to Desiree. I would challenge, if he wants to weigh in on the guidelines, I would challenge him to basically give some history of precedent for their interest, his interest in the organizations that he cites interest, and short of meeting some sort of level of past interest and advocacy for historic buildings, I don't see why we should entertain.
I don't either. I agree with Stephen. I mean, I just feel like he's showing up to the party way too late. These guidelines have been on the agenda for the last 5 years that I've been on the board. I think there's been plenty of time for this to be out in the public. It's been on the city website for people to review, and I'm ready to get this stagecoach out of the station. I don't know how everybody else feels.
So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, this is a public meeting. So the design guidelines are put out there in public for everybody to take a look at.
Right.
Mr. Klinko came to call to the audience and address the board, did not force the board to do anything that they didn't want to do. It was a decision of the board to allow him to take a look at it based solely on his expertise and his foundation on historic preservation matters. So if Mr. Clark had the intention of doing a similar thing, he would have requested and the board would have made the decision. It was solely the decision of the board for that to happen. It wasn't the staff, it was the board that decided. And it is my understanding that Mr. Klinko, even though he did some edits and did some suggestion, did not change what the board was thinking. The board looked at it and still went with what they actually wanted for their design guideline. And so the final draft of the board, of the design guidelines are actually done by the board. It's not done by Mr. Klinko. Mr. Klinko is not going to say tomorrow that he wrote the design guidelines for the board. The decisions were made by the board. The suggestions were taken, but the board finally decided on what to accept and what not to accept. And so we're just presenting this to you as staff. And as staff member, we did not feel that it was inappropriate for a member of the public to ask to participate in a public process. This is a public process. And so Mr. Klinko was participating as a member of the public. Thank you.
Michael, I have a question there.
Yes.
Did you check in with legal, the city's legal department on this? Or is this is your assessment in the moment?
What I'm saying right now is my personal assessment. This is a public comment. Public comments are allowed to be brought back to the board. Should the board have any concerns or express the need to do anything different, then we would resort to the city attorney to find out whether there's something else we can do. What I've
So,
presented to the
yeah,
board is-
okay, so the writer is not in the call now, was not in other calls about it. Is the
I think he
writer
was there the last meeting,
expressively?
Philip.
Yes, exactly. Is he expressively requesting to do the same as Damien did?
I'm not sure.
Well, he has not expressed it so far, right? Neither in the letter nor in any other form towards you, Michael, or the staff.
No. we
Okay,
have not-
so
and such a-
if he came, the question is, if he came now and said, "Hey, I want to review like Mr. Kinko," you know, at this point, you know, he would have the same rights, right? I mean, that
you have the same right.
needs to
and
be
it will
equal treatment. But I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that he is asking for that. I don't see the productive aspect of it right now. And what it really requires from us, why we need to respond. If he was asking for it, or if he was joining and wanted to join the discussions that we have had, and we're almost done, like Paolo said, with the discussion. So do we need to respond to this at all?
Well, that's
I
what I
don't-
already did.
Yeah,
Oh, no, but that's staff, right? I'm asking the board because the board was addressed.
that I will need to check with the legal department for that. I don't want to speculate.
Yeah, because we don't want to be negligent by not responding, right? If we are addressed with a letter, we better have to respond in some way. Or, I mean, Desiree took over for us, but I don't know if that covers us.
Mhm.
You know,
Again, I would need to check. I would need to check with the legal department in order to come up with that kind of answer. I don't want to speculate, Mr. Chair.
yeah.
Because of the board.
You know, I'm in his email, it says, I don't think this is a formal request, but it is some sort of request. I also wonder if the boards are open to evaluating the edits of outside groups such as the TAR, the Goldwater Institute.
Yes, we are. We will evaluate if comments are made as part of the process. But our process will not in the moment be stopped because of a letter like this unless there's a formal request for, you know, or a participation in the process. That hasn't happened.
At this point in time, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I believe that the board has already reviewed these guidelines and concluded your revision. It is now at the level of staff to review and move forward. I would be very surprised if the legal department would say that we can reopen the review and give it another chance for somebody to come and edit what has already been done by the board and concluded. Because as far as I know, the board has concluded on its review on this guideline. It is now at the level of the staff. But again, we are going to take it up with the city attorney to see whether there will be need for the board to respond to him or not.
Okay, good. That would be helpful. And there is further options for public comment, no? Because once you have reviewed, you will have to forward it to mayor and council at some point, and there's always options for public comment at that point, no?
Yep.
Do you know where Desiree is on doing her final review?
We are still reviewing it. We are not
Okay.
able to come back to you today with any comment on that. We're going to let
Okay.
you know that on the when we get to a design guideline.
I guess I do like the idea of getting that legal counsel's opinion if we should reply. And the only reason I really want to be careful is because of perception issues. I don't want to debut our hard fought guidelines and have our process be attacked. I mean, I think he was only at one meeting, which I can see why out of context he might maybe land on some concerns, but it's been such a thorough process with so many opportunities that I want it to hit well.
Yeah, and and it's been, we've had meeting after meeting, and this goes back to before Hope and I were on the board. I mean, you guys have been
Yeah.
working on this for a long time. My gut feeling is that he somehow saw he has some bone to pick with Damien, and so that's why he chose to, attend that meeting and write this letter. And I mean, he had plenty of years to weigh in on the guidelines if he wanted to prior to this.
Right.
Fair enough.
Okay, so Michael, you're gonna do that legal check and then we'll
Yeah, myself
decide
and
after that.
one of us will check and let you know. So for the interest of it, for our record, can whoever is using Commissioner Rito Wacko Star, can you please identify who you are, please?
Hello, my name is Waco Star. I'm here with John Humig, Bobby, and Roman Sands. We're here to discuss our revitalization of a carriage house on our property located in Barrio Viejo.
Okay.
We're going to be turning that into a pool house and like to propose our plans and process today.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I just wanted to identify the
No problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let me just make sure there are 5 of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think there are
Is that-
4 of us. Waco, Waco is my husband, and then
Okay.
our contractors are on the call as well, Roman and Bobby.
What is your name? Sorry.
This is John Humig.
Okay, hi, John.
Hi.
So who's
And
going to be
just-
presenting?
I think I'm gonna let Bobby present.
Hold on, Mr. Chair. The first item on the agenda is 514 West 17th Street.
Oh, I have 746 as item number A.
What? What agenda do you guys have? Is
I
it the
would-
same?
I think it was
I have
the
the same thing that Paulo has.
so item number A on mine, Michael, is Osborne Avenue, and then 17th, and then the courtesy review at 92 Simpson.
Okay, that's fine. I think I got it the other way. That's fine. We can start with that.
So we'll start with the Osborne.
Yeah, you can start with the house, bro.
Okay, Bobby, you're presenting this?
No, I think Roman's been a little bit more familiar with the project,
Oh.
but I'll step in with any specific details to the project as far as construction.
Roman, it's all yours.
All right, here we go.
Hold
So,
on, hold on, Roman. Let me make you the co-host. You should be able to share your screen now.
okay, just a second. That working?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, you want me to just walk you through my images and our proposal here?
Yeah, well, I think what you guys plan on doing.
Yeah, so this is the existing home, just for site reference. This is where John and Waco live. First photo. Second photo is an aerial. And you can see the existing home on the south side of the lot and the historic carriage house on the north. And their proposal is to build a second dwelling with a two-car tandem garage and renovate the carriage house into a pool house. And the new dwelling would be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. The garage would be a 2-car tandem garage. These are attached, but accessed separately. As you can see in the site plan for the plans. This is the existing. This here is the 2-car tandem, and this would be the second dwelling. And then over here we have the carriage house.
Roman, can you, before you move on, could you, so the access to the, for the car, the two garage spaces, could you point those out?
Sure, absolutely. Access to the 2-car tandem garage would be through right here. There would be a garage door here. And access to the second dwelling would be here through a man door. I think I have an elevation here that I can
For the
scroll
floor
down.
plan, Roman, if you want to show them the floor plan.
Floor plan.
So there isn't any direct access from the garage to the main house, but there is a man door, if I'm correct, Roman, that leads out to the courtyard or whatever it is on the west side, correct?
Correct.
My
that-
concern, what I'm getting at is I'm just wondering if these two garage doors are side by side.
No,
you
there's
find-
only a 1-car garage door.
Okay,
And are you able to see the screen I'm on now?
it's showing a house with a low wall in front of it with two trees.
Oh, okay, I gotta switch my plan, just a second. This is the electrical plan, but you can see here the
Okay.
one
Yeah,
car
I see.
garage
Thank
door.
you.
Yeah.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Sure.
So it's a drive-through garage.
It's a drive-through, but they really couldn't drive through here. The second door is only for unloading, groceries, etc.
Because there's no exit on the, what would that be, the east?
No exit that way, no.
Yeah, okay.
And there's actually no door to get into the house outside. So We designed it that way to make it a little bit easier.
I'm gonna try and find the actual site plan. 1 sec. Right here.
Floor plan would be best, Roman, if you can find that.
Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then can you orient us as far as street facing orientation?
Can you zoom
Sure.
out, Roman?
So this is Osborne Avenue over here.
No, Osborne is much farther out. It's
I'm sorry, let me see here.
Or if we just go to the site plan, that would be easier to understand.
so
this.
on the side of the screen is 11th, where the the new garage door would be. And then Osborne is much further to the west.
Sheet one,
To the
Roman, do you
east.
have that? Can you get to that one?
Say that again.
Sheet one. There you go.
Okay.
This drawing is north up, right?
Yes.
So there, it looks like there's two off-street parking spaces that are in front of the new dwelling.
Yes.
Do you have some elevations we can look at, Roman?
I do, yeah. So here's west elevation.
Do you have the existing versus the new?
Yes.
Okay, just walk us through maybe the existing and then the new.
Well, as far as elevations go, I don't know that we have an existing
Yeah,
elevation.
it's there, Roman. So note 3, I believe if you zoom in, that's the existing house.
Note 3.
Yeah, if you look at that first top left corner west elevation, that's the existing house, where they're coming off the master bedroom, that double
Oh,
door and
yeah.
that existing porch.
Okay,
And then
yes.
from that line right there to the left would be your new. There's your garage and your 2 entry doors per the floor plan.
Will there be
So-
anything between the existing house and the new construction, like a fence, or what is that?
Is there a fence there between the existing and the new, Bob?
There
If
will
you go to
no
the site plan,
We don't have a fence being there. Are we talking about right there between the garage and the other door, like the garage door and our door to, there'll be no fencing. There'll be actually some fencing up between the garage, across 11th.
can you go to
Is
the
that what
site
you guys
plan,
are
Roman?
asking?
All these structures are already attached to each other and will remain attached to each other. There's no, or did you mean is something sticking out towards the 11th?
So if I can step in, there's an existing fence that goes from the northwest corner of the existing house directly west towards 11th. And that one will be reduced to the southeast west corner of the proposed garage, tandem garage. So from there, it'll just be reduced.
And is the entry to the existing house on 11th? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It faces Osborne. I see. Okay.
There is an existing entrance to our bedroom on 11th, which is where we currently park our cars. Yeah.
And is the existing house, I'm sorry, I usually try to drive by a project before a meeting and I didn't get a chance to do this. Is the existing house historic
It is
or
not.
it's new construction?
It
Okay.
is new construction. It was built in 2020. Or sorry, 2019.
And just out of curiosity, I don't think this is on your on the program today, but did that fence go through review?
I'm pretty sure when we bought the house, it had already been put up.
Oh, okay.
So when we moved in, all the corrugated metal was here.
Okay, yeah, yeah, the above the corrugated, all the kind of artwork or whatever, that was all there when you bought the property.
Correct.
So on the west elevation, you have two front doors. Is this going to be two separate units inside?
So the way that we designed it would be for it kind of keeping to the historical aspect of a row house. In this type of style, we are able to close off the door there in the middle to kind of create two living quarters.
Okay.
One has a full kitchen, the other one is going to have a small kitchenette. And in the middle there, you're able to close this off to create two separate living quarters, two one bedroom, one bath quarters here.
Got it.
So that
And-
would be able to allow them to get into both places if they wanted to.
Right. And it looks like you're going to be building this out of some kind of masonry material.
Okay, so correct. The masonry block to keep towards the same building materials that or the rest of the houses were built out.
Okay. What does the board want to look at? Do you guys want to look at elevations again or site plan?
I'd like to look at street out like a block face elevation and I'd also like to look at a site plan of the block to look at setbacks.
Site plan is here.
But I mean, in terms of context, what's next door and next door and next door? And maybe
Other neighborhoods, other neighboring homes.
Yeah, you're in your development zone.
can we look at I think there's a photograph, an aerial photo.
Yeah, let me go back to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you zoom out a little bit, Roman, so we can see right there?
So 719 and 1715, those setbacks appear to be off of 11th appear to be less than what you're proposing.
Yes,
Okay. And then on 734, that entrance is on Osborne, obviously, I think, right? So
The neighbor at 734 pulls in from 11th and parks in her driveway. But when people come to visit, they pull up on Osborne and go in through the front gate. So just like their house, our house is used very much the same. When people come to visit, they enter in off of Osborne. And when we get home, we enter our home off of 11th because we park back here. And
Okay.
that's the same with 734. 732 does use their back area to pull in as well. And when they have guests, they have them come in that front 732. As you can see, you goes up on Osborne and the lots are split with two housing units being on both pieces of property.
And 508, is that the west, on the west side of 508, is that setback?
So this is a different type of house. So 508 falls on 18th Street. So the front of their home is actually in on 18th Street right out here. But what the developer did on this house is he actually put in 4 doors. So 508, where that number is actually their driveway. So they can pull in off of Osborne and pull in there and then answer their door either in the front on 18th Street, or they actually have another side door off of 11th that could also be used as a front door as well.
So I'm wondering if the board has any, so my concern is parking in front of the house, like, allowing a setback that's enough for a car to pull in front of that isn't typical of the neighborhood. And I'm wondering if the board, any other board members have any observations on that.
Will you describe that again, Stephen?
So on the 11th Avenue side, they're going to have 2 parking spaces that are accommodated because of the increased or the amount of setback. And in general, we don't have cars parking in front of houses except on the street. Now, there are some exceptions to that for sure.
So the rest of the people on 719, they do not have a driveway and they park out on 11th Street. C does not have a driveway. They also park out on 11th Street. 730, 708, also same. There are no driveways there and they also park out on the street.
And that is my point. So they have on-street parking, much like I have in front of my house. But they don't have what you're proposing as far as parking. So I'm just wondering from the board's perspective, is that, it seems like an issue to me, but I don't know. Anybody?
Are you proposing to have street parking on 11th rather than parking on the yard?
Yes. Yes.
Would you be okay with that, Waco?
I'm okay with that. I think we talked about this before about it being a little bit better that way anyway, being that this isn't the main quarters of the home.
Will the city allow you to do that, or are they asking for on-site parking? But you do have this new garage that should accommodate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, technically we would have 2 parking spots for them. And I guess it's up to the owners on where people park at.
Right.
Because technically, if we wanted them to, they would have off-street parking where our old parking would be, which is right off 11th.
Oh, you already have off-street parking there on the existing.
Correct. For an existing,
Got
we're
a,
actually
it has a
building.
closing gate. Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that?
We have a gate that closes, so you can't really see it unless you're.
Oh,
Quick question to the board. Would the construction of the existing house having been built in 2020, would they have had to go through this process with you all?
yes.
So it was passed that they could park where they park?
Yeah,
Apparently.
So would that not allow for them to go forward with the plan as is? Parking in front of the second dwelling also?
So there's parking on the west side of the existing house. Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
You
do you
said-
have a aerial of that one really quick? I know you can kind of see it here. And just show where we're parking at.
Well, this is where they park.
Hmm.
But if Waco's okay with it and the city's okay with it and the
There we go.
board is okay with it, why wouldn't we just
We
park on
currently
11th?
park right there.
Mhm. So that is the rear of the house, though,
Correct.
not the facade, not the
Yeah.
front.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
I have a question. Did you check on your lot coverage? Are you getting close to that, to the allowable lot coverage with this addition?
Bobby, I'll let you answer that
That
one.
hasn't come up yet, but it should be on the site plan.
And then yeah, okay. And the other question is, how do you justify creating a row house expression on 11th where there's no other row house there? Like, it's a very untypical proposition for 11th, it seems.
505 17th.
But that's not in your development zone, is it?
Yes.
Yes,
You
it is,
sure?
or yes, it is not.
Yeah, let me just go back to the development. This guy.
Oh, is that 505 there?
Yeah.
And what does 715 and 719 look like? 7.
Boy, I don't have those ones.
Oh,
You want me to Google map it?
if you can.
What's the address again?
715 South 11th.
You're not seeing my screen yet, right?
No.
Okay, just a second. That's 715.
Okay, and then that one is 719, or the one to the right of it. Wow.
So those do have a setback that allows the cars to park in front of them. And they're not blocking a pedestrian right of way there.
But nothing
So you
goes from
mean-
property line to property line, right? In any of these references. They all leave a side yard. What's the side yard you are leaving? Is that consistent with the other properties?
I'm not sure what your question is. Sorry.
Okay, what's the side yard on your proposition in your site plan?
The side yard. Let me go back.
On which side of the building, Philip?
Both.
It's going to be on the north, if anything.
On the north, okay.
Yeah.
I want to know both, yeah.
Okay.
the side yard. I'm not sure what a side
That-
yard.
That setback, Roman, that dimension right there
The small one at
on
the
the,
top.
on the north, on the north side right there.
3
just
foot
zoom in,
six or 2 foot.
3'6". Now go to the south side, Roman, of the existing house. See it right there on the very, on the southeast corner of the existing house, right there.
What is that dimension? It's hard to read.
You know, I can't see it either. 1 second.
It's on the southeast corner of the existing house.
That's 4'2".
And the top one's 4'2" as well.
The top one is 3'6" on the second dwelling and 2'8" on the carriage house.
Which is existing, right?
Existing, yes.
Do you have other side yards in that development zone that match this? Because we cannot take your existing, your current house because that's not contributing historically. So we have to look at C houses historically contributing houses with similar setback. You have that or side yards?
Yeah, you have it, Roman. We were looking at it right now.
Yeah, the
It's got- it's
development
set-
zone.
Yeah, there you go, the development zone. Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 of them that are the same, right?
Yes. Let me find that real quick.
There. So 508, 734. 719, 730, 715, 708. Keep going, Roman.
Five oh five is pretty close.
What's your concern, Philip?
Well, the density isn't matching at all what is elsewhere in the development zone. I'm trying to get a numeric understanding of that, you know? Maybe this is just a model that that takes benefit of all the maximizations, right? And then create something that is just much bigger than the other land uses. Everybody is very, you know, it's an object on a larger lot, and this is basically inversing it. There's almost no lot left in the end. And look, if the numbers pan out, then that's what it is, right? That's what the zoning allows. But I want to
719
know
is
because
719 is about 70%, if not 80%.
719. Yeah.
And your maximum
pers-
coverage is 75 that you can have, Bobby, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's like 70, 75.
You don't know what your coverage is actually, do you?
So it would be on my site plan.
Well, considering the pool, I mean,
Pool has to be part of it, yeah.
oh, the pool is part of is considered part of the coverage?
As far as I understand, yeah.
Oh.
Driveways too.
Mm.
Which page,
Unless
Bob?
unless my numbers are incorrect. Percent of that, I'm not too sure if it's including the pool. I typically don't
Lot
include the
coverage
pools.
calculations.
We're at 49%.
Okay. Good.
So that's a 1/4 acre lot, huh? Was that 2 lots that have been conjoined?
Believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was one whole lot when the developer came in and built the one on 508, 746, and was going to build a third house. But we ended up buying the lot and joining them together. So
Okay.
it was together all at once, then it wasn't, and now it is again.
Roman, can you zoom in on the lot coverage calculations? Please. Okay. Square foot of So you guys are building 1,435 square feet for both the dwelling and the garage. That's the total.
Correct.
I believe that sounds right.
Okay.
I mean, so,
The other
So-
aspect is the garage on the street, right? Do we have, we obviously don't have precedent for that, right? And the board has had to decide on that a few times. And it has always been very difficult. We always advise to go to a gate, you know, to make it more look like a gated courtyard rather than a garage door. The few unfortunate cases like Carter's on the one in on Convent and so on, I'm not sure what happened there with the board, but those are not a good reference. The last times we have always advised to not do a garage door, but to make a gate that is more like a gate into a courtyard also. Because that's historically, you know, there's relevance for that.
I think, Waco, you would be okay with that, wouldn't you? Or would you, or do you not want to have a gate? Waco or John?
I'm a little bit confused.
So what he's asking is, the proposed garage. Looking at a garage door. Sort of what you have right now. So the gate would be at where it is right now. You know, you have a fence currently right now, but you would have a gate.
But what will
Is that
we would
correct?
have to put a gate across the whole house, put a fence up? Like,
No,
I
the
don't
issue-
understand what that would look like.
the issue is that the garage doors, as shown on this this elevation, have a horizontality that never existed in the neighborhood.
Yep.
The more successful garage doors have, and they are garage doors, not a gate. They have looked like a gate.
They would be
Oh.
2 panels swinging out, most likely.
Mhm.
Correct, and
Just
they
the
cover the
door
whole facade.
itself.
They cover the whole elevation. And the question for me would be, does the garage have to be so high? Or could the garage be lower and fully covered by those 2 gates that Paolo is describing?
So
Would,
the gates would be there instead of a door, instead of a garage door.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know, there's some on 18th and Main, there's some houses there that have this same architectural detail. So that doesn't look like an actual garage door. They look more like gates, but it's a garage and it's sealed and
and the door opens automatically and all those things?
all those things. The only issue is they need to
Really?
swing out.
You guys, can you see my screen with the west elevation?
We're seeing sections.
Okay, hold on. Let me just go back to this real quick. So this is actually the garage door that should have been drawn there.
Yes.
It's more like a carriage house looking door. And that was what we all decided to install here. Not a horizontal standard garage you would find somewhere else.
And is that able to retract?
retract.
Does that go up and down, Roman, or does it swing out
It opens up like doors,
like
Okay.
garage doors?
well,
Swings out.
you can
Swings out.
get different types actually.
So
Mhm.
does it swing out or does it go up into the ceiling of the garage?
It folds up and goes up into the ceiling of the garage.
Mm.
Can you get it? Can you get it in the option to open out, Roman?
I believe you can get each door to open up separately, like two-man doors.
So
That
they would
sounds good.
open out towards 11th Avenue.
Yes,
I think that's what the board is trying to achieve, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be much preferable and really more appropriate to what was here historically in
And
general.
you're okay with that, Waco and John?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's what we have to do, I'm sure we can find a motorized one that actually opens up. Like that, I'm hoping.
And is that, would that be wood?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Is everyone okay with the transoms above the doors?
You mean of the garage doors?
No, those man doors right
Those
there.
transoms? I think they're fine. Why? What's
I
your?
don't know. Was there an issue? No, a convent, they eliminated a transom on the Bati.
Mhm.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think there's precedent for
Yeah.
what this looks like. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so the exposed wood there, Roman, Bobby, is that like a rough sawn wood?
yes, absolutely.
Okay, and then is it corrugated metal on the roof?
Yes.
Galvanized finish
Be a rust
Uh,
finish.
or rust.
or rust? Is the board okay with that?
As long as it's not galvalum.
Okay.
And the doors are solid or are those glass?
I believe they had glass in them.
Yeah.
But they're just proposed, so it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think we would want smaller glass on top and maybe panels underneath, wood panels.
Yeah, I think so too. That's the historic precedent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so for example, a side, each door would have pair of solid side-by-side panels on the bottom, and then a pair of glass panels above that. And the glass would be taller in proportion than the lower wood panels.
And the windows, they're wood windows? What?
Yeah, wood windows, double hung.
Okay.
Painted or natural?
I'm sorry.
Are those gonna be painted or are they natural color?
I
Natural
would
wood.
say stained natural wood.
They will keep,
Okay.
yeah, they'll keep to the consistency of the main house now, which is stained wood.
Okay. Can we see the east elevation? South, okay. So it's kind of mimics the front. This one is going to be farther back from Osborne.
And it's got a wide transom over each pair of doors. Is that seems okay, but anybody else have a comment on that?
Yeah, I never understood a transom above a glass door. It comes from having a closed door and needing some light, right? In a way,
No,
mostly.
a transom historically was used, they were operable, they were openables to let the hot air go out as high as possible. That's what transoms typically were for. And additionally, they obviously let in light, but they were operable so that to let hot air out before we had any kind of cooling.
Are we okay with having the full light doors here on this facade?
I think I think we need to see it. No, I think they should be historic looking. I think we'd probably like to see all the doors, final drawings on all the doors.
Okay.
Okay.
So these are back doors that lead to a patio area. And right now, that's how our house is. It has two double doors leading to a patio area.
Mhm.
And even including, we have double doors on that go off on 11th that look exactly like this.
Sticking my neck out here a bit, I think the board is a little more attentive to detail than possibly was the case when your house was approved originally. And so those full paint window, full glass doors were not, there's no historic precedent for those full glass doors.
Does it, just a question, does it make any difference that like you can't see this from Osborne?
It is in the backyard. Nobody will see this. No, there will be no comparison from any other place that people would see this.
And we're not familiar with what the.
I'm familiar.
So board, I think in our guidelines, did we stipulate that all facades, even interior facades, are to be reviewed?
Yes.
Okay.
Philip, what's your feeling on this?
I think,
Oh.
well, I'm a little unclear when it's new construction to begin with, how we apply our rules. Like, I guess I need a refresher, but I do think the windows or these doors will stand out as different from the neighborhood.
And we can't use the existing house as precedent because it's a non-contributing building.
I see. Okay.
Correct.
And we're not supposed to suggest alternatives, right?
No, I think I mean, I think they would benefit if we suggested alternatives. I mean, I know Michael doesn't want us to do design work,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but I mean, I'll just say what would be appropriate and correct, edit me, board members, but again, what would be appropriate is a wood paneled, so just taking these two pairs of doors, each individual door would have a wooden panel below, I'm guessing 3 feet high or 2.5 feet high, and then a glass and a double panel door with double paned windows up above. So a pair of glass panes over a shorter pair of wooden panels.
What's your suggestion on the west elevation, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So we would have to define what is not historic about what we are looking at, right? And it's the double glass door, no?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you either do a single glass door and maybe do more or whatever. That can be looked at, or
No, not even not a single glass door that has one tall pane of glass.
Well, they could have mullions in it. I mean, this is such
yes, yes.
a one.
This is again, we're not designing it. We are just saying what is not historic currently, and they have to come up with something that reflects something they find in the development zone, and then we can review it.
So Philip, would you
I can't-
recognize
yeah.
or recommend we walk around the neighborhood and look and see what other people are doing with their back door? I mean, I guess not their back doors, but doors.
And John, I would be careful to pay attention to what's historic and what's been, added later.
Roman, would you do me a favor and pull up 460 West 17th Street? It was a 1928 bungalow that was a row house turned into a one single family residence. And that has the double glass panel doors leading out to the back area. And that home was built in 1928, remodeled in 2017. And those also have the full glass doors leading out to the patio. And that address is 460 West 17th Street.
Do we know if they went through a review?
I'm not sure, but
development zone.
a house this old, I'm sure would have had to go through review.
Those
So
are-
right here we have the two doors, which I'm actually looking at. This one actually look a lot better on the front
Yeah.
part. If you're able to pull up the listing, you're able to look at the doors in the back of the home.
Hey, 1 sec.
I know this is a completely different design of home, but you'll see here in even 508 West 18th Street, which was a
Roman, it's MLS SAZ now.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it. Go down to the property search right there.
oh, he's just putting in his password.
Oh, logging in. Okay, good.
Michael, are the two other reviews here?
The second review is here.
Second, oh, is that
But
you?
not- Well, yeah, but my presenter is gonna have to leave soon, so
Okay.
What was the address again, Waco?
This is a courtesy review, right?
460 West 17th.
No, this one is a formal.
This is a formal.
I'm sorry, say it again.
460 West 17th.
You want to go to the photos?
Yes, please.
Are we running short on time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Can I make a suggestion and to keep this project moving forward? Someone had mentioned before, we can dial in the doors and windows. I think windows aren't a big deal right now, but I guess the doors are. We could just, try to move this project forward, and we can work on the details on the doors. That's minor type stuff that we can move.
no, cannot do minor. This you have to come back to the board.
But we have ways, Bobby. We can, we have different ways of approving or not. We can approve with conditions, for example.
Yeah.
So if we're seeing this house that's historical in 1928 with the exact same doors that we're asking for in the backyard, I'm a little confused.
So this elevation, looking at this, this is a remodel, and this appears to be some sort of addition, because I don't
This is
think.
not an addition.
Pardon?
This is not an addition. This home hasn't been touched.
So this was on the right side there, this was always a open porch under the same roof profile?
From what I remember, this house has not been touched since 1928, other than
It's
the inside
remodeled.
has been done.
I mean, these doors don't have a transom above them. Makes them different from your proposal.
Nevertheless, I mean, so regardless of, you know, I know this is inconsistent. We can't, this board has to make decisions based on the makeup and the kind of intent of these board members. So if this was passed by another board, you know, I don't know what to say, but we can't use as precedent or some different decision, I'll say, than that was approved, you know, some years ago.
So Stephen, when we go and we're working with Bobby and Roman and we're going through the neighborhood looking for other houses to set precedents, how do we do that? So, because you guys weren't the original board that obviously hasn't done any of the other houses in the neighborhood, but when we now go back out and we are trying to find examples and we pull these examples and then we say, well, here's some examples from the neighborhood. And then I hear this where we can't because that was a different board. So that means that we would literally have to find houses that the board has all done that are sitting here
No,
today
just
to find
no.
other examples.
Please, let me help.
Michael, real quickly, if I can answer first, and you can edit me on this, but what you should look for is historic doors. That's it. And there's lots of those.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. If the board could be willing to share some of those, so we can
Absolutely.
go ahead and look at some of those examples.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Thank you.
So Wacko, you would first have to look on historic buildings within your development zone. That's the first thing to look. If you don't find anything relevant, then you can expand your search to properties like this, which doesn't seem to be in the development zone, right?
Well, it's right up the street. So yes, it would be in the development zone. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I've lived here. We've done work in this neighborhood for going on 8 years now. And I've been very aware of what's going on in the neighborhood and looking at what has been going on. And so I'm following what everything else has been approved. And so I'm bringing those things back to you. And then we're getting, well, we weren't the board that approved those. So that's the confusing part to me.
So, by and large, your designs, your elevations and your architecture looks great. And so I think it shows that you did some, you know, careful study. And so all we're saying, or I guess I'll put it in the first person, all I'm saying is for precedent, just look for historic doors. Like your windows look great. They're nice double hung windows, one light over one light. Those are you know, perfectly appropriate. And so and his, you know, and you've used as a model for those historic windows. And I'm just saying, for your doors, use some historic doors, hopefully in the development zone, as your model.
Thank you, Stephen.
So let's make a motion here because we have 2 other reviews to get to today. Is there anybody that wants to create a motion?
You know, I think there's a lot of things
Because there's also other aspects that we didn't look
That's
at.
the
Other
carriage house that we haven't looked at
Yeah.
we
yet.
need to do a continuation
Yeah.
here. So I'm going to make a motion to continue this.
Mr. Chair, because they're also proposing a pool. These days, pools are subject to a full review process, so I would suggest that whatever you do, please review that pool.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
any
I think
motion we are going to
I hate to do it to you guys, but I mean, it was a pretty major project and we're short on time. So I'm going to make a motion to continue this at the next meeting. And I think you need to go out and create a whole new submittal, maybe just refine the doors that we're talking about, and we can discuss it then, and we'll look at the carriage house and the pool at that time.
So the
And then
pool is,
there's
the pool
things
is
we
existing.
touched
It's
on.
The pool
it's
is
the pool
existing.
house. Pool house. Yes, the pool is existing. It's
Yeah, the
just the
pool-
carriage into a pool room.
Oh, so the pool is there already?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I second that motion.
Great. Stephen,
I,
Mitch,
I,
Darren,
Aye.
Philip,
Yes.
and I for me, and Hope. You made-
I,
we seconded it. All right, guys, thank you for your time. Sorry we couldn't get this done all in one shot.
sorry about that.
yeah, you guys, I want to just say that this is as excruciating for us as it is for you. So apologies, but we just have to make sure that we are protecting the historic integrity of the neighborhood. And so that's our goal here. And it's it's painstaking.
Okay.
So
We,
thanks
we
for your-
definitely want to abide by all of that as residents here in the Barrio Viejo. Like I said, we are merely going around to other homes that have been remodeled in the last few years and historical homes and are pulling from those. So it's exactly what is happening in the neighborhood.
Not only that, but our clients, Waco and John, have even spent money protecting the carriage house
So
for
it
the
doesn't fall
last- For
apart.
the last year and a half or 2 years, which
4
shows
years.
that they're in, they're trying to preserve the neighborhood as well.
Yeah, we get it. We're not making accusations here, guys. We
At all.
No, no.
Not at
we
all.
just-
appreciate
we get
what
it,
you guys
but-
have done.
Right, we understand it. We're not trying to say you guys are,
Mr.
but we
Chair,
definitely want to
Mr.
point out that we're
Chair,
on the same team.
Yes, Michael.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, a motion has been made, it has been seconded.
And it's finalized, voted on.
Can it
All right,
finally-
guys, thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Um, okay, Michael, so now we're off to review number 2, 514 West 17th Street. Mitch, is your presenter still here or are they gone?
they've gone, so I don't think you
Shoot.
can present or review the project.
Okay, well, sorry about that. So Michael, we'll move on to the third review.
Okay, so we have to continue the first review to next time. I just want that to be on record. Then we can move to the next review. The third review before you is going to be a courtesy review. You do not need to take any action. It is an informational and feedback presentation. It's a case of a zoning violation for work that was done without going through the appropriate historic review and approval by this board, by plans review subcommittee. So the applicants are here before you just to tell you what they have done and get your feedback as to what they need to do, and they will be coming back to you to present the same case as a full review. I think, Roy, are you leading the review here?
Yep, I'll go ahead and present, Michael.
Okay, let me make you a co-host.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm Rory Juneman. We're representing Mona Treadway and Glenn White, who are the owners of the property. They're on a kind of out in a remote part in New England right now for family vacation, so they couldn't be here today, but they'll be here at the next meeting. I've got some slides I wanted to run through. Is that all right if I share those right now?
Please.
Yeah. You can share your screen.
And yeah, I don't have.
Yeah, you do. I made you the co-host. Oh,
Host.
sorry, no. Made it wrong place.
Right. There we go. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. Can you see the 92 West Simpson Street slide?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Right, the properties at the southeast corner of Simpson Street and Convent Avenue, excuse me. The building was originally built in the 1880s. There were additions to the building that kind of made it the L-shaped. It's how it is now, L-shaped. In prior to 1896, and in 1924, the pitch roof was added. Our client purchased the property in 2020. In 2023, they actually went through a historic review, an HPZ review, and they received approval for this carport that's here. I'm not sure you can see my cursor, but the carport in the middle. So that was approved, but they in 2024, after the monsoon season, they had pretty rough storms that did a lot of damage to their house. The roof was old anyways, but the storm kind of did it in, and they had some window and door damage as well. So they went ahead and just had the roof replaced. They were going to be out of town for an extended period of time, so they went ahead and had that roof replaced with a roof that's there right now. There was a complaint filed, and it ended up in city court. So that's when they came to us to help them out. They also wanted to replace some of the doors and windows that had been damaged, but they hadn't yet. So what we recommended was, you're going to go through this process for the roof. Let's go ahead and you figure out what you want to do with your doors and windows. And so we've included that in this request. Also, just recently, they got reported for a gate, vehicle gate, that they had thought had been submitted through that process in 2023, but there was some miscommunication there with their architect, and it didn't get in. So we've wrapped that in as well to this request to take care of that violation. We were in city court today. They gave us an extension until October to work this through. So our client is fully on board with complying, going through this process, which is why they hired us, and that's why we're here this evening. So I'm going to walk through these quickly, but if you have questions, feel free to stop me. This is the development zone. And then, like I said, I'm going to go in order: roof replacement, windows and doors, and then the new gate. All right, this is the asphalt shingle roof. When they purchased the property in 2020, it was there. And again, the monsoon storms this last year kind of did that roof in. But again, asphalt shingle, kind of a rough brown rust color. This is the current metal panel roof that they replaced it. That they replaced with the old asphalt roof. Just to note, on the carport that got approved, they have a metal rusted color roof on that carport. They basically used the same material for this roof. Here's just kind of a side by side. So they chose that carport roof basically because it was close to the color of the existing asphalt roof, which is why they went ahead and used it for this roof. There's within the development zone there. Oh, here's just the colors, the natural rust color from the spec sheet for the materials. Within the development zone, there are actually 8 roofs just within that development zone, so it's about half that are metal. And of those 8, there's 5 that are standing seam roofs, like the one that similar to the one that our client chose, not the same color, but the material. I just listed 3 out of the 5 here in our application. If we don't already, we'll include all 5 of those standing seam metal roofs. So I guess they've used the same color and material that was on their existing carport that was approved, and then they obviously have used, you know, they've looked at the development zone for other metal roofs, and so we think because of that that it justifies a recommendation to approve. And then this is just from the plans from 2023, just that rusted patina metal roof.
I'll just weigh in here real quickly. The standing seam roof seems fine to me.
Okay.
Anybody have any?
I want to make a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw there on the spec sheet that it said natural rust, but just because I walk by this house so frequently, it actually looks painted, like marbled or something. It's not natural rust.
It's not yeah, I think they say it's a natural rust color, but it's kind of a patterned rust type of material. So natural rust is what they advertise it as, but it's yeah, it's a manufactured type rust coloring. So
It almost looks like camouflage.
mhm.
It does.
In real life?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a photo of the close-up in the package that was on the web. It's on the minutes agenda, where you can see it pretty clearly. Do you have a picture of the carport roof material that you're referencing? That got approved?
A picture of the material other than
Yeah,
have?
For the carport?
Oh, for the carport?
Yeah.
I don't have that. But we can definitely.
Can you go to page 9 instead?
Of the of our
Yeah.
submittal?
Yeah, no, of what you have on the screen here.
8, 9.
So what does it say there?
Rusted corrugated metal panels with lap sealant.
So
I
it
don't know
says
that-
corrugated and it's a rusted, right? It's neither or. So I think there's even a violation here.
Well, this was approved.
Yes, as this, but you just said that they were matching. Do you have a picture of that roof? Is it actually what it says?
I don't have a picture of that.
Because
roof.
you just said they matched what was on the
That's
carport, so now I'm confused, you know.
They were trying to match that rust color. So I'll find out if they use the same exact material. But
Did you go to Google Maps, Rory, or are you not?
I've got the aerial, and you can't really see the way that the roof is slanted. You can't see it from Google.
So on the aerial, it looks actually like a metal zinc, you know. It's not rusted. They didn't do what they said. That's a bit the beef I have with this whole project here.
So they put
This
just
is
a
kind of
galvanum filler?
yeah, it's hard to tell from the aerial, right? But it's silver.
It's not silver. This is
maybe it's an old aerial then, the one I'm looking at.
Yeah, I think we just need a recent photo.
Yeah,
too.
we need a recent photo. Maybe it's the wrong one, an old one or something.
Well, and yeah, I don't have a current photo of it.
No. But okay, you are here to review the other one. If somebody puts on rusted, we believe it's rusted, right? We don't believe it's fake rusted.
Okay.
Did this go through the roof, the minor review, as I think it
No.
should?
That's what I think is the problem. It didn't.
Okay.
Which roof are you referring to?
The main house.
The main house hasn't gone through
Yeah.
review. That's why, yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned the gate, which obviously, yeah, needs a review. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do the doors and windows next?
Doors and windows first.
So
These
let's finish the roof. I mean, what's everybody's
Sure.
feeling on this? I mean, Stephen, you said you're okay with it.
Yeah, but you guys, you raise good points. I'm open. I mean, the fact that it's standing seam.
Yes, that's a quality roof for sure.
Yeah.
It seems.
It looks good.
It's just that coloration, fake rust is
Yeah.
is highly debatable. We don't have that in our old and new guidelines, so yeah.
No,
From
this
the
is a
photo
rough
there,
one. It's a
that's
rough one
rough.
because the idea of tossing this roof doesn't feel great, but I will tell you, in my opinion, it looks plasticky and fake.
Would
I mean, I
have
wonder if there's something that can be done to it to fix it as opposed to replacing it.
Darren, what are your thoughts on this? You live around the corner, you see it every day.
Yeah, I thought it was actually camo print when it was going up, to be
Camo.
honest. And I kept on trying to stare at it, trying to figure out if it was a camo print or not.
Oh, camo, like Desert Storm.
If you look at the page 9 and you look at the face, the rise on the face, you can actually see kind of what it actually is.
Page 9 of the submittal. Is that what you?
Yeah, it's page 9 of the submittal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's digitized actually.
Yeah, it is digitized, and that's why I kept on staring at it.
Mhm.
That's a tough one because that's
it's a
that
print.
place.
Yeah.
The great news is it's really out of sight lines. You really have to look for it. So that's better
Mm,
than if it was at 5 feet high. The bad news is it is kind of a camo pattern.
And and camo is all hot right now in apparel.
Well, with all due respect, it's not. It's digitized. And it may look like camo, but
Yes.
it's not intended to
no,
look like
I understand.
a
Yeah.
hunter's thing.
I'm
Yeah,
just-
yeah.
That's the closest visual reference
Yeah.
I can come up with.
No, I get the reference, but definitely it's not. It's not intentional.
And it
So-
won't change over time, right? Like a normal metal roof. We won't get away with that speckledness,
Yeah,
which
it's
a
got a
normal roof gets
25-year
even
warranty.
over time, that's the problem. Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe they would have to paint it or something.
So Paulo and Philip, in the construction from the construction end, are you guys aware of any kind of treatment that could be applied or?
Yes, you could probably paint it with a rust paint, and that looks pretty cool. No, Paolo, there's
I mean, I would
good
think.
structured paints. There's an eye and good paints. Yeah.
I mean, it's already painted, right?
It's printed, yeah.
I don't think it's painted. It's part of the integral print on the metal.
So, I know with these standing seam roofs, the gauge is a lot thinner than some corrugated. So I do not think you can get standing seam in 100% rusted metal.
Yeah.
Because it degrades too quickly. So that's why a lot of the standing seam is galvanized or painted.
And there's a lot of reference for that. Even the neighbor has a nice galvanized roof,
Like, I don't think we ever
Not this kind of
approve
roof,
this
yeah.
roof knowing that we would have been looking at that color swatch that's on the
And knowing that, we don't need to approve it now. Just,
Yeah.
if we wouldn't have
Yeah.
approved it then, we don't need
Yeah.
to approve it now just because it was installed.
Yeah, so it's the finish that's the problem.
Is that all you need, Rory? Or?
Yeah, I think
Roof.
on the roof. So
Mhm.
you guys want me to move on to the windows and doors? Okay, so these are just current photos. Again, the windows and doors have not been replaced. What they're requesting to do is basically, and you see here is that they were beat up pretty bad.
Yeah.
They're have gone to Pella and to order essentially as close as they can get to what's there. It won't be
Mhm.
exactly the same, but they're making the effort to replace them as close as possible. The changes, I think, are fairly minor on the windows. I think some of the windows, if not all of them, are steel casement. They want to do wood frame windows with painted, painted frames. The grid patterns will be essentially the same. Some of the sizes may be off a little bit. I think some are 3x4 and 4x6, and they would be 3x5 replacements. The panes would be 3x5. There's one window or one door that has like a stained glass in it that was added later, and they would take that out and just have frosted glass there for privacy. But they'll keep the side lights and the transoms. I think they're at least going to replace the side windows and maybe the transoms, but with new windows, they're more efficient, but they would leave them there.
And they're gonna
So-
keep the territorial type trim that's on the windows and doors, or replace it if that be replaced.
Yeah, they would keep it. I guess depends on the, how beat up it is, but they would keep that there.
Okay.
And are those are those panes, are those individual panes or are those applied mullions?
I don't know, but I can find that out.
Steve,
think
are you
we-
talking about the new windows? The proposed windows?
Yeah, yes.
It's they're applied on both sides. I looked up the spec for it, but it's this kind of thing that Pella's doing that's, I think it's geared towards this kind of application with historic districts to make it appear as much as possible as a true divided light without it actually being a true divided light.
I think we'd want to have those individual panes.
Well, I don't know many companies that are doing that. My house, for example, has some doors like this that are of the same concept. It's a full sheet of glass, but when you look at the mullions, you cannot tell by the way it's engineered that they're not individual pieces of glass.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
know
they-
Marvin used to make individual pieces of glass, but I don't know if they still are.
Yeah, I think a question would be is replacing a steel window with a wood window.
I
would be a
agree with that,
recommendation.
Mitch. That's my heartburn on that because it makes that a house very unique. Those are the historic windows of that house. I have to assume the old courthouse, and that's a shame. That's really a shame. I don't know.
So
Did they look into renewing those old windows, Rory? I mean, they can be refurbished.
I don't think so. I think they thought that that this would be an adequate replacement. I mean, it sounds like it's been done in other places, but
Yeah. One thing we have to say, this house has much more significance, maybe not on a legal terms, but in terms of on the street
Yes.
than others.
Mhm.
I mean, it's very present in terms of its size, its placement on the corner, even its old function. So I think that comes with a certain stewardship for this house.
So are you saying, Rory, that these, all the existing windows are steel?
well, I can't tell you that all of them are, but at least some of them are. So yeah,
Those are, what facade is that on?
that's on the, well, we're only talking about that western facade.
Hmm. And
Because that's
these,
where the damage is.
Yeah.
and this window is on, that you're showing right now is on the west?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's one of the ones to be replaced.
And then this door has a division there, and you are proposing something without that division, correct?
Ask that one more time, Philip.
You have that door with a division in the lower part, yeah, here. And then you show us interiors of that division. Is that what you're proposing? That's what you're proposing
That
as a
is
replacement for exactly that door.
what Pella, yeah, what they have, I believe what they're proposing is to mimic these doors exactly. So with the same pattern.
Okay. They would
yeah.
put in they would modify them and put in this horizontal division and panels.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna tell them they need to do that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the intent.
I think
of,
it's critical. Yeah. You can't
Yes.
just make these plain doors where there's an intricate detailing here. And then I have a question. I don't know exactly about that. A few people have put on these films on the glass. It makes it really flat. Is that at the discretion, Michael, of the owners? The translucency that they are aiming for?
Can you ask that again, Philip?
They are aiming for putting up film or sandblasting on the panels. Is that at the discretion of the owners, or is that something to be reviewed? The type of glass they're using.
It's something to be reviewed because if it changes the historic character of the window, then
I
it's
think it
under your
does
field.
considerably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know people did it and didn't get caught for it, and that shouldn't justify it,
No,
doing
it
it
is under
here.
your preview. It
Yes.
changes the historic character
So,
of
Rory,
the window or the design.
if you want to create privacy, normally you would have a clear window with a sheer curtain or so behind, and you can make that in a contemporary, beautiful way, but not with the film.
I think we need to see specs
Yeah.
on all the doors and all the windows.
Yeah, seems to be some spec in the submittal that we received.
Yeah, there are some specs, I think, in the appendix of those.
Mhm.
So
With
you can,
drawings? With drawings?
Yeah,
yeah, they're small little plans. So I wouldn't say they're drawings of each one, but we can see if we can request that from Pella.
That would be great for our, ability to approve this.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I would say in general, because of the character of this building, replacing everything as exactly as possible would be the easiest way to get a approval.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
are there, so I guess, for the casement windows, for the metal casement windows,
Mhm.
and I'm not aware that you can get replacements for those, right? You're saying that they would need to have those refurbished?
That is possible. The refurbishment is possible. Yeah, I did that in my house.
Okay.
You can put even a thin insulated in. It's fine. It will. No, usually those frames can do that.
Double pane,
looks-
you can do double pane.
Yes,
Okay.
the thin ones should. I mean, you have to look exactly the thickness of the frame, but in our house we had them very similar to the west side. This is what we did.
Mitch, can you talk about Doug Thompson at all in terms of these windows?
Yeah. So Doug Thompson's he's a local metal worker, metalsmith, and he's made steel casement windows for the city of Tucson for historic buildings that can accommodate double pane glazing. So he could definitely be an option for if a replacement, that kind of option wants to be explored.
You're saying that would be a full replacement with a custom, as opposed to taking out the window panes and replacing those. Is what
Or
I think
you
Philip
could-
sounds like that's what he.
Yeah.
But I think you can get an
you'd also be
assessment of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would be a good resource for
Yeah.
assessing the windows and seeing what he would recommend.
Okay.
Rory, we would be fine with both probably, if it's done in a good way.
Okay. So I'll go back to them with, to look at the metal windows, and then it sounds like what you're saying is no frosting on any of the glass. That the
Correct.
privacy screen's gotta be, or privacy's gotta come from inside, whatever
Mm.
window treatment they do. And, and to get more, get a spec on for the 2 doors is what you're looking for.
Yes.
And the door
Mhm.
drawing, door elevation drawing of the replacement doors they're proposing.
Yeah.
We need to see that there's a commitment to match the historic.
And I'll confirm that the molding will be preserved. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
the drawing would show that, right? So,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think within the current appendix with the drawings right now, they're a little bit different than what is existing right now, from what I can see.
Okay.
Well, if they're
Um,
similar in character, right, we can look at it.
mhm.
Okay. Anything more on the doors and the windows?
No.
All right, the gate, so this is the replacement gate that they have now, and this is post the 2023 approval. What they looked directly across the street. Oh, here's there was a gate there up until about 2013. The gate was removed, but I guess the prior owner kept it on property, but it was basically from 2013. It was off it wasn't installed basically, and they couldn't make it work. So they looked across the street. This is directly across the street from the existing gate. This is a gate that had been approved in 2022. I think it was repurposed from somewhere else on the property. And so they look to that gate for sort of just mimicking that gate. So that's what they've installed. And again, they thought there was some discussion actually in this at this board about the gate, and I'm not sure what happened. So, something got dropped, and it just never made it through the final approval. So
the problem with describing this as mimicking the one across the street is that these panels are much more horizontal in nature than the one across the street. And those across the street, those rectangles are more horizontal than vertical. I personally think that was a mistake, but this is an even more emphasized horizontality than is across the street. I mean, there's nothing like this in the neighborhood that I can think of.
Do the ones across the street open up automatically? Probably they can't, because
I
they're
doubt
right
it.
flush against the ground. Yeah.
Well, and also they're not, I might think they want the automatic thing for vehicles.
Yeah. Why are they so high off the ground?
That's because, I think it's because the
The
driveway,
sloping driveway.
Right,
Yeah.
but they swing out. Those
It
swing out.
opens in.
yeah, I don't think it can by code swing out into the pedestrian. road.
Yeah.
Okay. Rory, there was a photo of a mechanical arm on that. Can you go to that on the backside?
yeah, right there.
Okay. Okay, so they do swing in. So that's why they're so high up off the ground.
Pretty weird.
Pretty weird.
So what would an alternative be? Because mechanically, it probably can't be lower. Would it just go up?
Unless it's a slider, right?
I mean, they could also change the grade. I don't know what
Mhm.
that would be.
You know, remembering this project when it was first approved, I think that was one of the issues.
Yeah.
Because I think we tried to push a slider and they didn't have enough room to the west
Yes.
get it to
Okay.
fully slide, and then the grade going up to the garage or carport was really steep.
And the proportions and all that was an issue
Yeah.
at the time. I mean, why does it have to open so wide, right? Mhm.
Hmm.
I mean, it would be useful to see if there are any other, basically taking an inventory of all the gates in the development zone, and we're saying just one, but I think there are more in that area that could be referenced and could be helpful.
Well, that's another question. I mean, do these have to be that wide? I mean,
It's like 2 cars width as opposed to one, right?
Correct.
But they're just trying to
How
fill the
wide,
space.
Rory, do you know?
What's that?
How wide is the opening?
I do not know the dimension. I don't think it changed from, I think it's always been that dimension, but we can provide that.
well, those gates that we're looking at now opened in. What?
Yeah, why is the grade
grade-
different?
How did the grade change? Yeah. I mean,
And
there's your, seems like there's your answer.
Well,
right?
you can even see from here, there is definitely
Speaking
a
in.
grade change.
Yeah, but-
because it's buried into it, but,
It's
and
not-
they did put pavers in there, so that may have changed some of the grade. But we can ask. I mean, they probably had something to do with the building of that carport, but
And is the opening the same width as the opening that we were looking at in those old gates that Jim Matson put in that we were just looking at? That was in the 70s.
I think so, because of the looks like the curb cut.
Yeah,
but-
well, also there's that pillar. So
That's still there.
Yeah, the
pillar is
pillar's still there.
Okay.
It looks similar. It doesn't, I mean, I
They added
can't sit here and
a
tell you it's
weird wall
exact.
there. There's a weird wall added at the back of the pillar. That's like a bit higher than the pillar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was that the wall was approved
Mm-hmm.
back in.
That was a
20 or
separate
23.
approval, right? There was two different ones for the yellow house, and then there was a separate process for the shed, no?
It was yeah, I'm not sure about the yellow house. I'm not familiar with that, but the approval with for the carport included the gate.
Okay. The wall.
The wall, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
excuse me.
I don't know, what are the options, right? We can make them into more gate-like proportions, just the dimensions are still hanging off the floor is, I mean, that's really strange. Definitely not precedented, and could have been probably avoided. There's still the question of how much width do you need to drive through, right? I mean, it's
Rory, do you have
just
a site plan that shows the carport and the width of the gate?
Well, I have this. I don't know
Okay,
if you
so
can
it's offset.
see
The
it.
gate is offset to the carport.
I can try to blow this up. Hold on. Yeah, just from, it doesn't look like they changed the width of that carport with this project. This is the
You mean
2023 approval.
The gate opening, you mean?
The gate opening, yeah, excuse me. It's been a long day, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to, oh boy, I don't know, board. So the design of the gates don't seem appropriate for starters. The
Can I
height,
just, Hmm.
go ahead, Hope.
I just want to make sure I understand. The reason we're here is because they didn't go through the review for the roof or the gate. Am I right?
Yes.
And so it's tough because it's built. I just want to make sure it's tough because it's built, but that's not really the board's problem. Is that right?
Correct.
No, and the board, as we have seen in this very meeting, really tries to help the applicant troubleshoot, solve problems.
So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I hope I might say this. So, as built does not really matter right now. When these cases come to you, you have to review it as if they were coming today and asked to build this.
Mhm.
We
Will
understand.
you recommend approval?
No, we
Mhm.
understand that, I think. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
just make sure. Yeah. Because it's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, back to the gate, the existing gate and the new gate have pretty similar proportions. So I'm not sure we can, I mean, the only kind of issue that sounds like we're identifying is this height off the ground. That's a main
No,
difference
but
between the
the old gate wasn't historic, you know.
No.
They didn't have the code at the time. We have it now, right? And these buyers bought today, and they have to go through the code today, not the one in the 70s. It's not a contributing historic gate, That would be a tough case for them to make,
So, and I guess you're gonna, Stephen, you're gonna have to explain this to me because I don't understand your description about the horizontal aspects of it. I mean, I'm not an architect, but I look at those and I see very similar gates. And when I go back to my client, I'm gonna have to explain this to him. I don't know how I'm gonna explain that, like
Lori,
what the differences are. So can
If you
you
go,
help me with that?
if you drive or walk through the neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
look at any covering of any opening that's historic, you're not going to see, you're going to see more vertical elements than horizontal elements. Historically, and especially in a building from this date, this old,
Mhm.
it was all horizontal elements, and you can see that in the fenestration. The existing
Things are taller than they are wider, is
Yeah.
basically what he's getting at.
Just
Okay.
imagine if you turn those gates on their ends,
Right.
90 degrees.
It would probably look better.
Yeah. I mean, so that horizontality, Rory, is a modern motif, or I don't know what you'd call it,
But the
as a
gate on the
design-
right is wider than taller. And the gate, and these gates are like, I don't know the width of the gate that's across the street, but it's narrower than these two. So I'm still not, I mean, they're both wider than taller.
No,
The
the gate on the right is taller than wider.
Well, the overall gate, you're
Doors.
talking
When you
about
look at the doors.
I
Are you
think.
talking about the door? Oh, the doors, not the pattern.
but
Okay.
also the pattern too.
But
Yeah, it exacerbates it.
Yeah.
It's a pattern repetition. So there's two elements in that visual plane. There's two doors. There's just two elements, regardless of the width.
okay.
And so that creates a more verticality. It just is the way that exists.
Okay.
And really, back to the point made earlier, this is a really important, like, icon really in the neighborhood. this property, and it needs to maintain its historic integrity.
So the one on the left and the one on the right, one tells me there was a carriage behind. The other tells me it's a big truck, right? Like it's a different time, and it
Mhm.
doesn't reflect the historic context.
Yeah, and actually
It's
there is the kind of
the ranch gate or whatever. Not a,
yeah.
you
I
don't
mean,
see these. I don't think there's anything like it.
there's a kind of an issue happening from time to time in the neighborhood where people want to impose a suburban kind of suburban amenities, I'll say, on these historic properties. And it's really dangerous. So, and I think this is almost seems like a case of that here.
I
Yeah,
think
I
that's a
think
helpful way to put it.
I think one thing that could be useful is if you can find historic imagery of, maybe that exists of this area, and then that can give clues as to what was there before.
If it looked like a fence that was moving in two panels, that would be something else probably. But hanging off the sides with short skirts, it just doesn't reflect
Just a question for
historic
Philip
precedent.
Philip and Paulo specifically, but anyone else can weigh in here. If that gate was made, if that pair of gates, if the opening was made smaller from side to side, would that affect the clearance needed? So the gate, essentially, each half of the gates would be less wide.
Yeah, it should.
Would that affect the clearance required below?
Yes.
It would, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna make them shorter so they won't go back as far.
Yeah.
That would entail probably making a extension on that left column coming over.
Mm-hmm.
9 DM.
We
Why?
would probably, there's really successful rolling gates in the neighborhood that you can avoid that altogether. But I know it's already
we
built. I
approved-
mean, I
yeah,
get
we
it.
approved
And they're
the-
automized and everything, right?
Yeah, complicated.
Are you saying rolling to the west, Philip?
You could have it in left, west, and east, or on two tracks,
Yeah, I just think if it went east, I don't know how you'd lose a lot of space there, maybe.
Well, you can open it 2/3 if you separate it out in 3 panels. It would look like a fence, You
Yeah,
wouldn't
maybe
almost
the
know that it
east
is a
panel
gate,
is smaller and a swing, manual swing, and the other one rolls
That's interesting.
west.
Yeah, yeah.
Roy, do you think we can look at the site plan to see how much room is between the
Sure.
end of the gate and the house? I mean, not that we want to design this, but we did approve
Yeah.
the opening that's existing there for them. I don't think we can go back and say, you need to make this smaller now. It
No,
looks like
no. But
quite
I
a
would
bit.
like to know that this is the same as what we are looking at. And I mean, are we sure that that is? Because this looks.
Yeah, there's no
I
dimension.
see.
Yeah, it's probably 10
Yeah.
feet there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Philip, I can see if we can confirm it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look like they changed the opening from what the prior pictures were, the older pictures, but I can
Yeah,
confirm
it's
that.
just I'm looking at this aerial photography and I'm looking at this alignment and it falls almost to middle. It's hard to tell, right? Aerial is also distorted and all that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And by the way, I look now on Google Earth and on Google Maps.
Rusted.
You found it rusted?
Well, I did on Apple Maps. I mean, it looks
Okay, let me
looks
look there.
orange.
Okay, good. Because on the other ones, I think it was in construction and it was blue.
Yeah, it looks orange.
Okay, good.
So, Rory, do you have enough information to go back to your client and try and resolve this?
So for the gate, I don't think so. I'm not sure what I mean, I think I'm a little confused. I mean, I hear what you're saying, that you don't that you don't think the gate is historic and there's issues with the height off the ground but I don't think I could sit here and tell them what could get approved. I think on the windows I can. I'm not quite sure I'm seeing it here.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's a matter of lowering it and putting some sort of different opening system where you're sliding, I'm not even sure that's possible. I don't know if there's room there, but at least we could look at it. But I'm not sure that gets us there. And because of how the doors are, or the gates are constructed. So, I mean, any more clarity would be helpful.
Board, in our guidelines, it seems like we did specify rusted steel as an approved material, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's even approved on this document here.
Okay.
That's not the issue, right? It's the form.
Yeah, it's the full form. So Rory, if each gate had, without looking at them, I'm just spitballing here, but if each gate had 3 vertical panels instead of those 6 horizontal panels, that would look more appropriate to the house, to the period of the house. Or I'm going to say, looking at it now, I would say probably 4. You know, the height of each panel would be the width of each vertical panel. The existing panels, the height of each of those, if that was the width of each vertical panel, that would seem appropriate to me. And I don't know what the other board would say, but.
So almost if there was.
Can somebody draw it for him? I don't know how to do
Yeah, yeah. I think I get it. I think what you're saying I think I can draw it. Hold on. So you're saying if there was another vertical.
Yes.
He's thinking 4 though.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like
Sure.
that, right?
Absolutely.
But not adding a post, right? Hanging a panel in front of it, Stephen, no?
I'm sorry, say that again, Philip?
To make it really vertical, you would hang a panel in front of it. Maybe a corrugated. Then it would look like a fence, you know?
Yeah.
Or
and that would keep your gate.
You would hide the structure.
Right.
Let's see.
That would be better.
Okay.
It still has the weird thing on the bottom.
Oh, you're saying, I'm not following what you're saying, Philip.
He's talking about putting a veneer on top of the
Exactly.
existing
Oh,
fence,
I see. Okay.
just to save the mechanics of it, right?
Yeah, and then not make that tubular structure the main feature.
Yeah,
it's always usually panelized. And I don't think we approved it that way in the other one, by the way. We could go back. That was much worse when it came for review for sure. But
you're talking about the one across the street?
Yeah.
That was, I mean, we went and looked because I thought this was going to be the easiest, right? Because we looked right across the street. There's a gate that is, I understand there's some difference in the height but I mean, to a layperson, those gates look the same. And so we went and checked to make sure that it was approved because I didn't want to sit here and argue something that wasn't approved, and it was.
Yeah. Well,
it was a salvage gate
really
from the site. So
yeah, I mean, that was a really big project sometimes those little things get overlooked because of the greater context of the project.
So Philip, back to your your suggestion. You're saying if they put corrugated panels over this, that would certainly look better.
Right. It would look like a fence, not like a out of proportion gate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
over time, I mean, so those could be removed someday.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or fall off.
unless they're welded on. I mean, yeah, yeah, and
Saying that that's the
but
solution,
the
I would
solution
approve.
is
I'm just
that.
picking up a thought you had, right? Like, look, Rory, I'm just as lost as you on this one. It's a
Okay.
shame it comes in this way, right? Uh, yeah.
Yeah, we need a creative fence guy to figure this out
Yeah, obviously.
and then come back with a plan.
There's been a lot of consideration spent on this gate,
Yeah.
which.
I personally like Philip's plan there. And Philip, I was thinking flat metal panels and versus
That's
corrugated.
fine too. I
Yeah,
think,
welded on top and bottom and rivet screws and the rest of it, and then it's a little bit more hard to pull screws
but
out of.
expressing the verticality, as
Right.
Stephen said.
Yeah.
The important thing is that you really transforming this from a horizontal to a vertical pattern.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
To
if for
look
some
more like
reason
a
you can bring
fence.
the panels down below the bottom of that fence, it would help. You
Yeah,
know, if you got those completely open and measured how much actual distance there is from the end of the door when it's open to the pavers, you might be able to gain something there.
Okay.
and I think,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a good point, Paolo. Go to the limit, right? Yeah.
yeah, and I
Mhm.
also think that we should stipulate a clearance, a number. Like I don't know what that is right
But
now,
we
but
won't
it's,
know
But
until the
Stephen,
opening.
this is really, that's
I mean,
mechanics, right? I mean,
Yeah.
well,
then
I'm
they would have to regrade. I mean, that's an
what
option,
I'm
right?
saying is if the pavers change the grade,
You surely did.
I think we need to ask that they redo that section of pavers. So,
no,
Yeah.
we don't know another thing too. I mean, that house is not handicap accessible, right? It's up 2 feet off the sidewalk. You know, they may have had to have made this handicap accessible by city code in order to build that carport, which we're stuck with that grading right there, 1 inch per foot. I mean, so if we do regrade that, it's going to get steeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let me ask them about why the grade
So steep.
changed. There may be some reasons for that, and maybe yeah. So I think what you all just said with the verticality and the fence, I didn't quite understand what you're talking about. Make it look like a fence, but you're saying more vertical, so it looks like a fence. Doesn't it wouldn't have to be corrugated. It could be something that they could, you know.
Flat metal panel, minimum
Yeah, it doesn't
316
have to.
Mhm.
thick.
Yes, okay. I think I get it. Would they have to do it on the inside and the
No,
outside too?
no,
Just the
just on the
outside.
outside.
Okay.
Every fence
Would-
usually has the structure on the side facing the property and has the panels on the outside. No?
Okay.
So
Would it help to have it raise up on the top too?
yeah, I was wondering that too, Hope, right? Match the wall on the left.
I would oppose that because you've already lost a lot of interesting view of that
Mhm.
property. The fact that that wall was built in front of that other unit to the west, to the east, that took away an important view from the neighborhood. These gates are already taking away an important view. So yeah, I would oppose raising it.
Okay.
Rory, when was that, original approval?
You're talking about the carport?
Yeah.
It was 2023. I don't know the exact date, but it was 2023. In fact, well, hold on. I got the stamp plan. Here's yeah, June
Historic.
15th.
Or can you zoom onto the carport and the gate? June, you said June 2023.
Well, the historic is June 6th.
June 6th, historic approval.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, that didn't have this is the same plan we were looking at, so it doesn't have any dimensions.
Okay, the other thing is that grading created another condition that I was not aware at the time of approval, which is the stepping of the wall. It's very weird on the photos and it's not mentioned here.
The stepping of the wall?
Yeah, of that white wall.
Hmm.
The wall between the two properties or the two buildings.
Oh, okay.
See that?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's and that like I think that color that really strange. Wait. Okay.
All right, I think this gives me something to go back to them and we'll see what we can do. And hopefully see in a month, maybe two.
Okay.
Thanks, Rory.
Rory, thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Yep. Y'all have a nice evening. Thank you.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
too. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, item number 5, design guidelines. Michael, do you want to just give us the next steps?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I believe you finished with your own part and provided it to staff. We are currently looking at it to see if there are any issues that we need to come back to the board. We'll come back to you to ask for clarification. If not, we would process this and move it ahead. As we said before, we want the new historic preservation officer to actually take time and look at not just your design guidelines, but all the guidelines, so that she can be familiar with it. And we are also checking for compliance with code sections, so that we're not having something for the Historical Advisory Board design guideline that is contrary to the code. That is where we are. And we will just keep this on the agenda to constantly update you on how far we have progressed. That's all I have to say on that.
Do you have an approximate timeline?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Michael, is Desiree will she be at most of the meetings that we have, or was that, is she planning to attend our meetings in general when she can?
Yes,
Okay.
she just didn't attend today because there's a lot to do. We have all this week, every day we have a meeting, so we have to split.
Yeah. Yeah.
But right now, there are just 2 of us, so they're in the process of hiring some other staff. So when they do, we'll be able to have more staff and it will be possible for us to just be able to do that. But for right now, it's a little bit difficult.
Okay. It is helpful to be able to ask her perspective on, from her kind of broad experience. So, yeah. I didn't catch what happened. I stepped out when you were talking about 514 West 17th. What did we do with that?
Mitch's presenter had to leave.
Okay.
I have to leave.
Okay. Should we, are there any staff updates, Michael?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Second.
I second.
Seconds. Philip,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Darren,
Yes.
Powell, yes. Hope, yes.
Mitch.
Mitch.
Oh, Mitch. Sorry, Mitch. It's not up on my screen. I apologize,
You want to
Mitch.
stay?
Mitch?
He's gone. He's gone.
All right.
Okay.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Michael.